is my privilege to bring to the stage Jessica Jesse, Dr. Richard Carmona, and Laurie Jennings. Where are you? If you can, there you are, and you're going to be right here. And thank you so much. Have a seat, and this is about the Wellness Moonshot. Hopefully you've all heard a little bit about it. We launched it a few years ago, the Wellness Moonshot, a world free of preventable disease. And it has gotten a lot of visibility and a lot of excitement behind it, and I know some people even on stage have mentioned it. So, without further ado, I want to start by mentioning Fred's speech. Fred Tsao, one of the things he said is that it starts with the individual, and so I can't think of a better segue than how the Wellness Moonshot is a great way to start for each individual. So we'll learn about more of that. So to start, I want to introduce Dr. Richard Carmona, who's really the inspiration, as I mentioned in my opening, when it was in the second summit that he spoke to a standing ovation, by the way, and said 70% of healthcare costs could be avoided because they're for preventable disease, which is like astonishing and really has been the motivation for what I do, and I think really for all of us. So, Dr. Richard Carmona is the Chief of Health Innovation at Canyon Ranch, and known, of course, for his work as the 17th Surgeon General of the United States. Richard, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you. Thank you. Let me try yours. Thank you. You were the one listening then when I gave that speech. Thank you, Susie. It seems it's been an uphill battle for all of us, and hence the importance of the Global Wellness Summit and the Institute. You know, we all want to live longer, younger, happier, and cheaper. And the good news is we have the science now to understand how to do that, and it's embodied in everything we do here with Global Wellness. You know, the famous philosopher, comedian George Burns told us, we all have to get old, but we don't have to age. But the best advice I heard him give was when he was near 100 years old at a birthday party in Beverly Hills with all of his friends, Milton Berle and Bob Hope, and the press was interviewing him, and he said, Mr. Burns, you have everything that you ever wanted in life, more money, more houses. You were married to Gracie for all those years. What could you possibly want now at your 95th or 96th birthday? And he said, a paternity suit. So, joie de vivre. The good news is we all can aspire to live a young, healthy, cheaper life, and we have that information. But the reason we're here today and talking about the Global Wellness Initiative for the Moonshot is that about 75–80% of what we spend our healthcare dollars on are wasted because they're all those dollars are directed at diseases that we cause by our poor behaviors, by becoming sedentary, by eating the wrong foods, by being in stressful situations, and so on. And so for many, many years, people have been trying to move the needle on behavior and get people to start making healthy choices. A couple of years ago, it was Susie who came to me, and we were doing planning for the meeting at that time. And she says, Rich, we have to do something bigger. There must be a way that we can unite all of our members all over the world in over 50 countries around some common purpose. And again, purpose is so important in healthy aging as well, as you know. We all look for purpose. And over a number of discussions that ultimately became very frustrating because we had lots of ideas, but we knew we had to execute on one. And I think it was about the night, maybe 2 nights, 1 or 2 nights before the conference was going to go forward. And I said, well, we can do something really audacious. Why don't we shoot for a world free of preventable disease? And it resonated with Susie, and it resonated with the team. And we said, let's do it. And the idea was great, but then it was like, oh my God, how do we do this?
And the medical community, it resonated with them.
It did. And interesting, a number of medical organizations, including the World Health Organization, have initiatives, looks just like ours, to try and make this type of a transition to a world free of preventable disease. The reason, obviously, is the trajectory we're on is unsustainable. The future we're leaving our children is unsustainable because of the increasing disease and economic burden. And our goal here is to break that cycle, to be able to reach every point in the world through our moonshot, to bring in as many people as we can, thought leaders, to present this information to you every year, assemble a great team, some of which are right up here, and keep pushing this down and really make it a signature effort of our Global Wellness Summit every year. But it's going to take all of you. It's going to be a multidisciplinary approach. When we first launched, we had all the disciplines stand up, you remember, and there was room for everybody, doctors, nurses, therapists of every type. Every single one of us has the ability to change the world and make it a healthier place, and while doing so, making sure that all of us will live healthier, longer, happier, and cheaper. Thank you, Susie, for your leadership. You've been extraordinary in moving this forward.
Richard, thank you very much. And just you can see the photo. This is from our summit at the Breakers in Palm Beach. And you can see Dr. Andrew Wild, Dr. Oz, Dean Ornish, Michael Roizen from the Cleveland Clinic, Elsa from Lanzerhof, and the Mayo Clinic, and there's Dr. Carmona at the side. And I will just mention, it was because we knew a lot of these medical people were coming to the summit, and I called them ahead of time to talk with them, and I asked them, so what can we do that will really move the needle on preventable disease? And quite frankly, every one of them said, well, it's my program. It's my 5 steps. Yeah. It's my 6 steps. And I thought, that's not going to work. Not everyone's going to be on your 6-step program or your 5. So that's when I talked to Dr. Carmona, and we realized we have to talk about something higher that everyone could get behind. And fortunately, the Wellness Moonshot, a world free of preventable disease, is something every single one of those people who were on that stage said, yes, I can get behind that, and I will get behind that. So that's how it all began. And then, as a lot of things we do with the Summit and Institute, we take one step, we take another step, we learn what works, we learn what doesn't work. And so this has been an evolution, but we've gotten to a fabulous place. We recognize that we need to have something inspiring, and it was Jessica Jesse who brought that up. Because initially what we were going to do is we were going to educate people, send information to people about preventable disease and, you know, the statistics on obesity. And it was Renee Moorfield and Jessica said, that's not going to do anything because that's not very inspiring. It's just more data, and everybody has that. And Jessica came up with this fabulous idea, which has been called the Inspirational Calendar. And you can see here, these are the calendars, and they have 12 moons, and they are moons with a word on each of the moon. And then we started discussing with, or educating people who were signed up for the Wellness Moonshot. And some of you signed up last year, and we sent you a calendar, and you've been part of it. And then we realized when we communicate with everyone, we really need to have an expert. And that's when we asked Renee Moorfield, who is unfortunately not here today, but she is the one that is the communicator every month of great information that has to do with the words that are inspiring. So I'm going to ask Jessica to explain a little bit more about this. Jessica is the CEO and creative director for BuDhaGirl, and of course, BuDhaGirl bracelets are all the rage, especially with me. And so Jessica, why don't you talk a little bit about it, and I'm going to flip through a few slides that will show you the evolution of the calendar, and you can see it a little bit more closely, the 2019 calendar, and then we're going to unveil a 2020 calendar. Jessica?
Thank you, Susie. It's really, really a pleasure to be working on this project, and especially, I think a few months ago when we did have data where we saw that 354 companies and organizations joined in, and that this is affecting over 500,000 people. And that was extraordinary to me, because I think that why this happened is someone made the decision to say, I am going to be a wellness leader, and it's going to have to start with me. Going back to Fred, it has to start with you. Sometimes I think the challenges that we see in making a better world, and certainly one that's free of preventable disease, it seems like, it's such a large problem, and how do we tackle it? We tackle it by starting with ourselves. And then, as we do that, we touch our families, we touch our work families, and, in turn, they touch their communities, and it snowballs, and it's great. One of the things that I think last year happened was that people said, well, how does the calendar work? There's these moons, and it hangs, and it's not on my desk, and how does it really, what's the story here? So the story is this. I feel that if somebody has something on their desk, it's going to have paper on top of it pretty soon, and you'll forget about it. And, my inspiration was when they said Moonshot is the moon is always with us, even though we don't see it in the daytime, but it's always with us. It is also cyclical. So, and those of us who are in the wellness community know that the power, the myth, the importance of its timing. And I said, well, we should just use a moon. And that's pretty much how it began. Saying we want something beautiful to look at, something that when somebody walks into your home or office, they go, hey, what's that? And that's an opportunity for us to talk about it. There was much debate originally on how the communication, what is the purpose? How do we, first inspire people outside of the visual? And Rich was so knowledgeable and said, keep it simple. Don't do words that people don't understand. It's not all about extreme fitness and this and that. Use words like move, eat, sleep, basic things that also people that maybe don't have the degree of education that we do can understand, and why is this important? And there were matrices like cholesterol levels, and they said, people are not going to get involved in that. So they wanted easy things to work with. And that's the inspiration of the calendar. And I think that the people who really loved it wanted a 2020 calendar. And I think a few months ago I said, hey, you guys want a 2020 calendar? And they said, yeah, can you put it together? And the inspiration for 2020 is nature. Because we are so interconnected with each other, but we are certainly connected with nature. And it's a reminder of our connection with it, and trees are everywhere, all through all the continents. Well, maybe not in Antarctica, but there's trees everywhere. They're seasonal, and I hope that the visuals inspire people to think about that word for that month and to apply some of the goodness and the wellness for themselves and for their families and communities.
So we're excited about the 2020 calendar, and I'll just add, along the way, we discovered that, okay, maybe not everyone wants a calendar, but people can get a calendar, and now we have 3 ways for them to get a calendar. They can order the calendar, they can print the calendar, and they can participate digitally. And that has also brought in a lot more interest. And believe me, I see every email that comes in, and they're from all over the world. People are participating with this. And just one more logistic thing, what we've learned that works is that it's monthly, it's cyclical, and we are encouraging people that the week of the full moon is the week that we encourage them to do a gathering, whether it's personal, family, or in a lot of cases in their company, to celebrate that word, whatever the word is. Because we also really know that community is such an important part of wellness. So we figure helping them get together around a theme and having fun with it is another way to really help with their workplace well-being program. And it's just something that adds to whatever they're already doing, or if they're not doing anything, it's a good place to start. So we also found we needed sponsors because there's always costs involved. So I want to thank these 8 sponsors who stepped up and sponsored a moon for each month. It's a $10,000 commitment. So we have these sponsors that stepped up, and I thank them because they were early on and believed in what we were doing. So now the exciting announcement, and I get to introduce Laurie, because the title of this section was about small steps to a giant leap. And thankfully, to Laurie, we're going to take a giant leap in 2020. Laurie Jennings is the deputy editor with Good Housekeeping. She's at Hearst, and she's the strategic collaborator with Prevention. And so, Laurie, I'm going to ask you to tell everyone the exciting news about our partnership.
Absolutely thrilled to be here, first timer, very exciting. So Prevention is within the family of the women's group at Good Housekeeping, which we oversee with a number of other magazines, including Women's Day and Good Housekeeping. And we're thrilled to announce that starting with our first issue, January 2020, of Prevention, we will be partnering with the Global Wellness Institute to share the Moonshot with the 5 million readers of Prevention. And this is really exciting because these are the people who work so hard and are so engaged in wellness and well-being and prevention. And so therefore, by taking the theme of each month and expanding on that and sharing quizzes and tips and stress-reducing ideas that we know the readers will love, and help them encourage other people in their communities to also become wellness leaders. We already know that the prevention reader is a wellness leader, is someone who cares about preventative health and strives to achieve better longevity, health span, all of those things. And so to be able to partner with Prevention and the Good not Good Housekeeping, though of course we will do stuff in Good Housekeeping as well, to be able to partner with the Summit and the Institute that we've started to develop such a fabulous partnership with is really exciting for us. So of course we've taken the Emerge theme for our January issue. Am I spilling the beans? I'm sorry.
I'm going to interrupt you because I think we need to give you a round of applause to thank you for this partnership.
Well, it's funny. The one thing I will say is that it's great to have the industry speaking to the industry and the medical professionals and the wellness professionals and the spas and the hotels and everyone together working towards a common goal. But if you don't have a media partner to get the word out to the average person who's looking for information and looking for trusted information, your message is not going to get very far. So take it outside of baseball, take it outside of the community, and bring it into the hands of the people who can actually make a difference in their communities on the daily basis, where it doesn't cost a thing. I mean, the beauty of this endeavor is that it is absolutely free. I mean, you can purchase the calendar, but you don't have to. And by partnering with Prevention and sharing this in our magazine, we give you great tips. There's a hashtag. We encourage everyone to use it. And it really brings a sense of fun and adventure and accomplishment to wellness, which is so key. I mean, if it's not fun, nobody wants to do it. So if we make it fun and we make it appealing, we will totally achieve a world of preventable disease, which is amazing.
Thank you, Laurie. And you can see right here the first prevention issue in January that's discussing the topic of Emerge. And again, Renee worked with your editor at Prevention for those. And I just think it's so exciting. Every issue of Prevention magazine, and also online, right?
Correct, absolutely.
So that number is even larger?
Exponentially huge. And you layer on the Good Housekeeping audience, which is 50 million, and you're speaking to a lot of Americans and people internationally as well.
Thank you, Laurie. I'm going to have Jessica end this, and while she's speaking, I'm going to kind of go through some of what is going to, the 2020 calendar is going to look like, and she's going to talk about what's on your seat.
So I'm going to close this deal, okay? So everyone here has one of the Moonshot calendar sign-up sheets on your chair. And really, guys, you know, it's up to each and every one of you to sign up. I'm just going to say it that way. You can get it for free. You can say that you want it for free. You can pay $25. You can be a really big spender and spend $50, right? And then if you want to just fly yourself to the moon, you can sponsor one of the $10,000 moons for the year. I think it's pretty compelling about the number of eyes you're going to have with your company instantly. And I think that the association that you as a company want to do well and support what we're doing is important, and that you care about your community, your families, your work family. So we urge you to please fill this out. We'll know if you don't, because we know who all's here. So, and there's a bowl outside in the corridor outside of the room where you can drop them off, and the Global Wellness Institute team will get a hold of you. And we would really love everybody's participation, because it is each and every one of us. Again, going to Fred, it starts with you, it starts now, and every one of us can make an impact. So please join us.
And we realize that some people have questions, and because, there's so much going on here. So we have an email address, and it's wellnessmoonshot@globalwellnessinstitute.org. You can just email, and someone will get back to you and answer any questions you might have. So I just want to thank, how perfect. The last moon is thank. And so I just want to thank Jessica, Dr. Carmona, Laurie, and all of you, because, it's just been a couple years, and I know next year we're going to be who knows where with our partnership with Prevention. Thank you very much.